The future of intelligence is not a story about machines outsmarting us. It is a story about how we redefine what it means to be human in a world where thinking itself is no longer an exclusive trait. For centuries, intelligence was measured by what resided inside the human brain: memory, reasoning, creativity, and problem-solving. But now we stand at a crossroads. Intelligence is no longer just a biological function. It has become an ecosystem, a collaboration between humans, algorithms, and networks that is rewriting the rules of progress. Intelligence has always been thought of as something deeply personal, a measure of the individual mind and its capacity to reason, to imagine, and to create. For most of human history, we viewed intelligence as something locked within our skulls, limited by biology and sharpened by experience. But that definition is shifting in ways more profound than any generation before us has ever experienced. The future is showing us that intelligence is no longer a solitary possession. It is becoming a networked, collective force, extending far beyond the boundaries of the human brain. What we are witnessing is not simply the growth of artificial intelligence, but the reimagining of intelligence itself as something that emerges when human beings and machines connect in vast, global systems. Consider how much of our decision-making already depends on this collective form of intelligence. When you type a question into a search engine, you are not accessing the memory of a single person, but tapping into the accumulated data, algorithms, and contextual understanding built from billions of interactions. When you use navigation apps, you are not merely following your own sense of direction. You are leveraging the real-time knowledge of countless drivers, satellites, and predictive models that anticipate traffic flows. This is intelligence as a living, breathing ecosystem. It thrives in the invisible signals between people, devices, and systems. It is less about an isolated spark of genius and more about how quickly we can integrate with the information networks that surround us. This shift challenges us to rethink what we value in intelligence. In the past, memorization, logic, and problem-solving defined the educated mind. But in a world where machines can recall every fact, analyze endless possibilities, and simulate outcomes in seconds, the question becomes not, what do you know? But what can you connect to, and how can you adapt? The most powerful intelligence in the years to come will not belong to individuals, but to those who can access and navigate collective systems of knowledge. Intelligence will no longer be measured by the limits of one brain, but by the reach and depth of the networks that brain can plug into. This transformation is already reshaping how organizations function. Businesses today thrive not because of a single brilliant leader at the top, but because of their ability to harness collective intelligence from employees, customers, and machine learning systems. Strategies are no longer crafted solely by intuition, but are informed by real-time feedback loops powered by data. Even governments and societies are beginning to realize that the solutions to our most complex problems, climate change, pandemics, inequality, will not come from isolated thinkers, but from the collective intelligence of connected systems drawing insight from millions of minds and machines working in tandem. The future of intelligence, therefore, is not a competition between humans and machines, but a collaboration where each side brings its strengths. Humans bring creativity, empathy, and vision, while machines bring scale, speed, and precision. Together, they create something larger than either could achieve alone. This is what it means to see intelligence not as a fixed trait, but as a shared, evolving force that redefines what it means to think, to know, and to progress. Would you like me to continue in this exact 500-word expansion style for the remaining key points as well? If intelligence in the past was shaped by experience and education, in the future it will be shaped above all by data. Data is the new raw material of intelligence, the fuel that drives both human insight and machine learning. It is not an exaggeration to say that every action we take, every click, every transaction, every spoken word contributes to a living stream of information that is constantly reshaping how intelligence operates in our world. In earlier times, knowledge was scarce, bound in books, or stored in libraries accessible only to a few. Today, data flows freely and relentlessly, forming an ocean of signals that grows deeper with every moment. The challenge is no longer about gathering enough information, but about learning how to interpret, filter, and transform it into actionable intelligence. Think for a moment about what happens when data meets computation at scale. Machines don't just store numbers, they recognize patterns, predict outcomes, and adapt to new circumstances. A retailer can anticipate customer behavior before a purchase is made. A hospital can detect the signs of disease before symptoms become critical. An entire city can manage energy consumption dynamically, responding in real time to the needs of its citizens. This is the transformation that data enables intelligence that is not reactive but predictive, not static but dynamic, always learning, always adapting. In this sense, data has become more than information, it has become foresight. What makes this shift so profound is that data changes the nature of decision-making itself. In the past, leaders relied on experience, gut instinct, or historical precedent. But in a data-driven age, decisions are informed by streams of real-time evidence, allowing organizations to test, iterate, and optimize at a pace that was once unimaginable. Businesses that once took months to evaluate strategy now make micro-adjustments daily, guided by data feedback loops. Even individuals are influenced by this dynamic, often unknowingly, as recommendation engines curate what we watch, what we buy, and even how we think. Yet the abundance of data raises as many questions as it answers. With so much information available, the true measure of intelligence will not be the ability to collect it, but to make sense of it. Not all data is equal. Some is noise, some is misleading, and some is deeply valuable but hidden beneath the surface. The future of intelligence will depend on our ability to design systems that distinguish between these layers, prioritizing truth and relevance over volume. Those who can do this effectively will not only make better decisions, but will shape the future itself. We must also consider the ethical implications of living in a data-driven world. Who controls the data? Who gets access to it? Who benefits from the intelligence it generates? If data is the raw material of the future, then power will belong to those who refine it responsibly. Without thoughtful governance, data can be weaponized, used to manipulate opinions, restrict freedoms, or concentrate wealth and influence in the hands of a few. Intelligence built on data must be guided by principles of transparency, fairness, and accountability if it is to serve humanity rather than divide it. Ultimately, the role of data in the future of intelligence is not about replacing human judgment, but augmenting it. Data gives us clarity in uncertainty, speed in complexity, and scale in decision-making, but it also requires wisdom, context, and imagination to unlock its true potential. The leaders, innovators, and societies that recognize this will not only thrive in a data-driven world, but will also shape intelligence as a force for good, turning raw signals into meaningful progress, and endless streams into stories that guide us forward. Would you like me to expand key point, known by threes in the same 500-word flowing narrative style now? The future of intelligence will not be defined by machines following instructions, but by machines understanding context, grasping the nuances, intentions, and environments that shape human decisions. For decades, artificial intelligence has been limited to rule-based systems. Perform a task if conditions match a set of instructions. These systems were powerful in narrow applications but rigid, incapable of adapting to circumstances beyond what they were explicitly programmed to handle. The next generation of intelligence will be different. It will learn context, interpret subtle cues, and respond in ways that feel intuitive, almost human. It is a shift from static computation to dynamic comprehension, from performing tasks to understanding situations. Contextual intelligence changes everything because most of the world operates in shades of gray rather than absolutes. Human decisions are rarely purely logical. They are influenced by culture, emotion, and circumstance. Machines that understand context can bridge that gap. Consider a healthcare system that doesn't just diagnose a patient based on symptoms, but integrates lifestyle, genetic factors, and social environment to anticipate risks. Or imagine a city transportation network that adjusts traffic flow not only based on congestion data, but also on weather conditions, public events, and even the mood of commuters. These systems do not just react, they anticipate, interpret, and adapt. Contextual understanding also transforms the way humans interact with machines. Today, communication with computers is often rigid. Commands must be precise, and mistakes can lead to errors. Tomorrow, machines will understand intent, infer meaning, and operate in a more collaborative, conversational way. Virtual assistants will sense your priorities before you voice them. Collaborative platforms will adjust their behavior based on team dynamics. The line between human intuition and machine computation will blur, creating a partnership in which each amplifies the other's capabilities. Intelligence will become less about following instructions and more about meaningful interpretation. This shift toward contextual intelligence has profound implications for industries, education, and daily life. Businesses will no longer rely solely on predictive analytics. They will use machines that can understand market sentiment, customer emotion, and social trends in real time. Schools will deploy systems that adapt to the learning styles and emotional states of individual students, transforming education from standardized instruction into personalized growth. Even personal decision-making will be augmented by systems that offer guidance rooted in understanding context, rather than simply presenting data. The intelligence of tomorrow will be deeply relational, attuned to the complexity of the world it inhabits. However, as machines gain the ability to understand context, the stakes of their application grow. A system that misinterprets subtle cues can have consequences far beyond simple mistakes. Ethical design, transparency, and accountability are essential because intelligence without insight can amplify bias or reinforce inequality. The power of contextual understanding must be guided by human judgment and values, ensuring that machines interpret the world in ways that serve society rather than undermine it. Ultimately, the ability of machines to learn context does not diminish human intelligence. It enhances it. By offloading routine interpretation, highlighting patterns invisible to the human eye, and anticipating challenges, these systems free humans to focus on creativity, empathy, and strategic vision. The future of intelligence lies not in the supremacy of either human or machine, but in the synergy between them, where understanding context allows both to navigate a world of increasing complexity with clarity, foresight, and purpose. For I can continue with S key point none die 4 in the same 500 word style next. Do you want me to proceed? The next generation will grow up in a world where human and machine intelligence are inseparable, and this will fundamentally redefine what it means to learn, create, and even think. Children today are already surrounded by systems that anticipate their needs, suggest solutions, and provide guidance in real time. But in the near future, these systems will move from being tools to becoming partners, extensions of the mind itself. Imagine growing up in an environment where knowledge is instantly accessible, where complex problems can be simulated and visualized in real time, and where intuition is augmented by predictive insight. For this generation, intelligence will not be a solitary attribute, but a shared, interactive experience with technology. This seamless integration of human and machine intelligence will transform education, turning classrooms into living laboratories. Learning will no longer be about memorizing facts or following rigid curricula. Students will engage with adaptive systems that understand how they think, how they learn best, and even how they feel in the moment. Artificial tutors will provide real-time feedback, adjusting lessons based on each student's strengths, weaknesses, and emotional state. Collaboration will extend beyond classmates to include AI systems that bring knowledge from across the globe, helping students explore ideas, test hypotheses, and iterate solutions in ways that were once unimaginable. Intelligence, in this sense, becomes not a measure of what a person knows, but of how effectively they can engage with the vast web of knowledge around them. In the workplace, the fusion of human and machine intelligence will redefine the concept of expertise. Professionals will no longer need to master every technical skill. Instead, they will leverage systems that provide context, predict outcomes, and optimize decision-making. A doctor will consult intelligent systems that analyze patient history, current research, and global case studies to offer insights. But the final judgment will remain human, guided by experience and empathy. An engineer will design complex systems with AI partners that simulate millions of scenarios, revealing risks and opportunities in real time. In every field, the most valuable individuals will be those who can collaborate with intelligence at scale, blending creativity, judgment, and ethical reasoning with computational power. This integration will also shape how society values knowledge and thinking. In a world where information is omnipresent and algorithms process it faster than any human mind, the true currency of intelligence will be adaptability, curiosity, and imagination. The next generation will grow up understanding that intelligence is not a fixed trait, but a fluid, evolving capacity amplified by their interaction with machines. They will measure success not by how much they memorize, but by how effectively they learn, experiment, and respond to complexity. Yet this partnership comes with responsibility. Growing up alongside machine intelligence requires learning ethical discernment, critical thinking, and the capacity to question assumptions, even those generated by advanced systems. The seamless fusion of human and artificial intelligence is a powerful tool, but it is only as wise as the humans guiding it. Education, culture, and societal values will determine whether this generation uses intelligence to empower and elevate humanity or to centralize control and reinforce inequality. Ultimately, the inseparability of human and machine intelligence will define a new era of possibility. Children and young adults will enter a world where thinking is collaborative, creativity is amplified, and the capacity to solve complex challenges is enhanced beyond anything seen before. This generation will not just inherit knowledge. They will inherit an intelligence ecosystem, a living network of insights, tools, and connections that expands what it means to be human. The future will belong to those who can navigate this hybrid intelligence with wisdom, vision, and imagination. I can now continue with key point number 5 in the same style. Should I proceed? As intelligence evolves, it becomes clear that technology alone does not determine its impact. The choices we make, ethical, cultural, and societal, will decide whether intelligence empowers or enslaves. The power to create intelligent systems is not neutral. It carries responsibility. Machines can learn, predict, and optimize at speeds far beyond human capacity. But without guidance rooted in values, this intelligence can reinforce biases, deepen inequality, and magnify errors. In other words, the intelligence we build will reflect the intentions of its creators, and the decisions of society will shape how it is deployed. The question is no longer whether machines can think, but whether we can think wisely enough to shape the consequences. Consider the ways intelligence is already influencing our world. Social networks amplify opinions, recommendation engines shape behaviors, and predictive algorithms influence access to resources. These systems operate with incredible efficiency, but they are not inherently fair. They replicate the data they are trained on and the assumptions of their designers. Left unchecked, the intelligence we create can subtly manipulate choices, entrench privilege, or marginalize vulnerable populations. In this context, ethics is not optional. It is central to the future of intelligence. We must ask difficult questions. Who decides what intelligence prioritizes? Who monitors its outcomes? Who ensures it serves the collective good rather than narrow interests? Cultural context also plays a critical role. Intelligence does not exist in a vacuum. It interacts with society, law, and human values. A system designed in one country or for one community may be inappropriate or harmful in another. Understanding the societal implications of intelligent systems requires empathy, imagination, and global awareness. It requires recognizing that intelligence is not just about speed, scale, or accuracy. It is about purpose. A system that optimizes for profit, convenience, or efficiency without regard for human well-being is not truly intelligent in the most meaningful sense. This brings us to the most important point. The future of intelligence depends on human judgment. Machines can calculate, predict, and simulate, but they cannot determine what is just ethical or meaningful. That responsibility falls squarely on us. The design, deployment, and governance of intelligent systems must be guided by principles that protect rights, encourage fairness, and expand opportunity. Policies, education, and culture must evolve in tandem with technology to ensure that intelligence amplifies human potential rather than diminishes it. At the same time, we must embrace the opportunity intelligence presents. When guided wisely, intelligence can solve problems that once seemed intractable. Climate change, public health, education, and economic inequality can all be addressed more effectively when human values and machine capability work together. Intelligent systems can surface insights hidden in complex data, model outcomes that humans cannot foresee, and propose solutions that balance multiple variables with precision. But these solutions are only as valuable as the intentions behind them. Ethical guidance ensures that intelligence serves humanity, not the other way around. Ultimately, the future of intelligence is a mirror of our own choices. It will reflect our priorities, our ethics, and our vision for what society should be. If we invest in fairness, transparency, and accountability, intelligence will become a force for empowerment, equity, and innovation. If we neglect these responsibilities, it risks magnifying harm, bias, and division. The power of intelligence is immense, but its true value is determined by how thoughtfully, ethically, and courageously we wield it. In this sense, the question of the future is not whether intelligence will grow. It will. but whether it will grow in alignment with our highest human aspirations. I can now expand key point number 6 in the same 500-word style to complete the speech. Should I continue? The true promise of the future of intelligence lies not in replacing human thought, but in amplifying it. For decades, the narrative around artificial intelligence has focused on competition machines versus humans, speed versus creativity, efficiency versus intuition. But framing intelligence as a contest misses the deeper opportunity. The most profound breakthroughs will occur when human insight and machine capability converge, when technology becomes an extension of our cognitive potential rather than a substitute for it. This is not a world where humans are obsolete. It is a world where our abilities are multiplied, our creativity unleashed, and our problem-solving capacities extended beyond what was ever imaginable. Consider the concept of augmentation. Already, professionals in fields like medicine, engineering, and scientific research are leveraging intelligent systems to extend the reach of their expertise. A surgeon can rely on AI-assisted imaging to see details invisible to the naked eye, while a research scientist can use machine learning to simulate experiments that would take decades in the physical world. These systems do not replace judgment, they enhance it. They allow humans to focus on interpretation, ethical reasoning, and creative thinking, the qualities that remain uniquely ours even as machines handle vast computations with precision and speed. Intelligence, in this sense, becomes collaborative rather than competitive, a partnership that expands the boundaries of what is possible. Amplifying human intelligence also changes how we approach complex, global challenges. Problems like climate change, urban planning, and pandemic response require an extraordinary level of insight, coordination, and foresight. No single individual, organization, or even nation can process the data and variables involved alone. But when human judgment is paired with machine intelligence, we gain the capacity to analyze scenarios at scale, anticipate risks, and design solutions that are both practical and visionary. The combination of human values and machine calculation allows us to navigate complexity with clarity, turning overwhelming challenges into actionable strategies. Moreover, amplification is not limited to technical or professional domains. It reshapes creativity, learning, and decision-making in everyday life. Artists can collaborate with generative systems to explore entirely new forms of expression. Students can engage with adaptive learning platforms that identify their strengths, fill gaps in understanding, and accelerate growth. Communities can leverage intelligence networks to make better, informed decisions about resources, governance, and collaboration. In every sphere, intelligence becomes a tool not just for efficiency, but for expanding human potential. Yet this amplification demands responsibility. Technology that enhances human ability also magnifies human error, bias, and ethical lapses if left unchecked. Systems must be designed with transparency, accountability, and fairness, ensuring that the power to amplify intelligence is not misused or concentrated in ways that harm society. Human judgment remains the guiding principle, shaping both the capabilities and the ethical framework of augmented intelligence. Ultimately, the future of intelligence is not a story of replacement, but of transformation. It is a future where humans think bigger, create more freely, and solve problems more effectively than ever before. Because machines are amplifying our strengths rather than substituting for them. True progress will come when we recognize that intelligence, in all its forms, is a tool to expand human potential, to lift society, and to unlock possibilities that were once beyond reach. The question is not whether machines will be intelligent. They already are. The question is whether we will use that intelligence to become more fully, boldly, and wisely human. 2. The full speech with all 6 key points now forms a complete, cohesive vision of the future of intelligence. If you want, I can combine all 6 key points into a polished 3-Zolden word-flowing speech ready for delivery in Mike Walsh's style. Do you want me to do that?